Good morning, y'all. So what I ended up wanting to do today was play around with my new Volt from, just ignore my face, I'm breaking out. I wanted to play with the Volt today because I just got this in the mail last night and I've never touched any of these and I'm super excited to. And I thought, honestly, one of the ones that I was most excited for, all of them, but was Bling Boss, just because I don't own that many purples. I really don't. And so this is the palette. I'll take this little slip off for you. Oh my gosh, look at that. Isn't that so pretty though? So I know I'm going to be using this today. And I wore some yellow and gray, so it would go really prettily with this kind of stuff. So ignore the hand color. It looks like I have a disease. It's not. It's a result of my job. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. First, I'm going to prime the eyes with my Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. This is in the shade Light. So pretty much I've foregone any sort of like setting down the base unless I know I'm working with like drugstore kind of things. I just haven't been setting the base at all, mainly because I just start off with a lot of blending shades anyway, so it's really not needed a whole lot. But I'm gonna pick up Hush Hush, which is this really pretty like mauve shade, and I'm gonna start working this in the crease. There's not a huge ton of mattes in this, I just realized. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, because your girl is a mattes loving kind of girl. I mean, there's still some mattes, but not. Okay, right off the bat, these blend really nicely. And I kind of wanted to do a video dedicated to each one of these little palettes, just because I've never played with them, never any of that kind of stuff. And I just haven't been doing makeup tutorials because I've been hecka bored of them. I just feel like some days I can't come up with something super original for y'all, so I just kind of don't. Which is probably a really poor excuse, but I've been either making videos on like other things like cleaning and that sort of thing, but then honestly I haven't had any time at all. I'm gonna take a bigger, fluffier brush and just kind of like run that over the tops of my eyes just to help blend these, because that little definer brush could just kind of like stamp the color on. Honestly, I have not had any time at all to edit videos, but the next couple of days are a little bit lighter, like workload wise. I have been working every single day but Sunday. I've been working on weddings like all on Saturdays and stuff like that, and then I either have trial runs or I have other clients on Saturday, because I don't know if any of y'all know, except for the ones that personally know me or follow my Instagram really heavily, but I recently just changed jobs and we actually get Saturdays off because so many of us do weddings. And so come like come like September is when it starts like hitting full swing, and then October I'll have one every single Saturday, and then November has 2 or 3, December has quite a few, and it's just like this whole big like wedding season block. And I'm getting more requests in from other things, so when I'm home I'm either relaxing from the job so I don't really feel like filming, or I leave so early in the morning that I can't film, or you know, just various things. It's hectic and I love it, and I'm very blessed to do what I do, but it doesn't leave a whole lot of time for filming. So now I'm gonna pick up, that was the shade Hush Hush, I can't remember if I said that. What I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna pick up Rockstar right here. This is another one of the mattes in the palette. It's like this really gorgeous berry. I'm picking that on a fatter, fluffier brush because we're just gonna clean up the edge here at the end. And I'm just gonna start buffing this and stamping on this color. a little bit more to that outer edge because I don't think I had as much as the other side. This is kind of reminding me of like grape juice. So I'm gonna pick up Hush Hush. I know it just got like infinitely more dark in here, but that's okay. So what I'm gonna end up doing now is I'm gonna pick up a little bit of Sparks, which is like this really, really pretty kind of reddy shade. It's like a deep red. And what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna take a smaller, denser brush and just kind of pack that on this outer edge just to deepen it up a little bit. I don't wanna make it too dark. Oh wow, that's like really maroon. Taking that big fluffy brush one more time with Hush Hush. Alrighty, and now what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take some concealer and I'm going to put it right here in this inner third of my eye and look up. This is that Nicole Guerrero trick. And what I usually end up doing is once I've had that stamped up, I will then start to fill in like the major area, barely brushing it this direction because I don't really care if it goes that direction or not. It's kind of where it will end. And then I'll take this little tiny brush and I'll start cleaning up that edge. Alright, now that I kind of have that little area stamped out, I'm picking up Bling Bling, which is this really pretty like pinky shimmer shade. It's a more light pinky than the others. And I'm picking that just up on my finger. And I'm just gonna stamp that. This shade is stunning. It's picking up my brush that I last used on that outer corner color. And I'm gonna like just barely feather that over on those edges, just on the outer edge. And then we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other eye. I'm actually gonna add another shade to this just because I feel like it. So I'm gonna pick up this shade right here. I'm probably not going to be saying this word on my channel. And I'm going to pick that up on my finger. And I'm just going to stamp that right on that middle section to add a little bit of difference. That shade is so pretty. It's like the prettiest like silvery champagne-y pink. I'm picking up Sparks and Rockstar, which is that purple and that maroon. And I'm picking those both up on that short fat brush that we used before. Just gonna barely tap this in. And then I'm gonna take that fatter, fluffier brush, and you're all probably sick of me blending, but we're gonna keep blending. Pick up Hush Hush. Just kind of buff that right on the outer corner. Okay, first of all, I'm obsessed with this look. I don't have very many purples in my collection at all. So this to me is like really different, really new. And the shimmer shades aren't like typical shimmers that you would find. They aren't like super pink. They're not like grossly purple. It is a pretty in between, and I really like that. And I usually clean up the edge because I will go a little crazy with my blending. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and start priming the face. This is the Cover FX Blurring Primer, and I put this on the T-zone of my face, and it really helps eliminate my pores right there. And now I'm going to be using, for the rest of my face, the Too Faced Hangover Primer. Surprise, surprise. But it's not a surprise because you already know. Alrighty, and now what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take my number 7, excuse the mess on it. I'm taking my number 7 Lift and Illuminate Foundation. This is in the shade Warm Ivory, I believe. And I know that's not like new at all to my channel, like I almost always use that, but I actually got away from using that and was only using the LA Girl Pro Matte for so long, and now I just got back into wearing this a little bit more. Even though I like both a whole lot, I feel like this lasts a little bit longer on my skin, and it's probably because it's kind of a lighter coverage anyway. So it's just like barely on my skin. It feels almost like a BB cream, even though it's not. For concealer, I'm going to be using my two favorite Tristies. This is my Liquid Camouflage, or Catrice Liquid Camouflage Concealer. Just going to paint this on underneath. I am running out of this, so I'm going to be using my Maybelline Fit Me on top of this. Now what I have been doing is I have been cream contouring and adding the powder on after as well. So I'm taking my e.l.f. cream contour and I mix these two shades, and what I end up doing is I just kind of paint it heavily on my face, and then I'll just buff it out, and I'll set everything with a translucent powder. And so I'll find my cheekbone, carve it out, cheekbone, carve it out, take whatever's remaining, I very lightly go over my nose because that can look really muddy really quickly. Plus, I have a really small nose, so I don't want to make it look too crazy. And I'll just take the remainder of whatever's left because I kind of like pile it on in the beginning. And I'll kind of like edge it around my face. A lot of people, if they have a double chin, will put that up under here. But because most of the time I'm doing my makeup in my makeup room and there's not a huge terrible ton of light in there, it ends up, I don't see if it's blended or not, and that bothers me when makeup is not blended. Like, it really physically bothers me. So if something doesn't blend, I usually don't ever wear it again. Alright, and now I'm going to be using my ColourPop No Filter Setting Powder, and I just put a lot in the cap, and I will take a sponge, and I think y'all already know this step, but I'll take a sponge and I set underneath my eyes and the T-zone of my face, and then I'll take a brush and brush it all over the rest of my face. Alright, so what I end up doing, and I've said this once before, is when I'm starting to do my contour, I will do it first before my bronzer, because the bronzer actually helps blend it out and makes it not look so harsh, but you still get that really sculpted effect. So I'm using my Wet n Wild Mega Glow Contouring Palette. This is in Dulce de Leche. I butchered that name, but it's okay. So I'll take that on an angled brush, and I will just carve that out underneath, and I'll flip it over so that it's like this going long way, and I will buff it upwards, drag it down a little bit, buff it upwards, and that way I don't have a clean stripe, but it's still there, and then the bronzer over top will help diffuse all of that. What I end up doing is I'll take, this is the Butter Bronzer by Physicians Formula in the shade Bronzer. I went down a shade just because I was enjoying kind of like that warm tone. And now I will take all this and I will just buff it all over this area, and it kind of diffuses that harsh line, adds a little bit more color back into my face, but I still look sculpted. It's a win-win. This is one of my very, very favorite blushes when I'm doing like a cool tone look. It's just that perfect color that ties in everything. And a lot of times when I've contoured, this is the shade I'll go with, because it really marries everything together in like a really flattering way. It's not overpowering, it just kind of adds the slightest bit of color. And don't forget, if you want the blush to look a little bit more natural, you know, not quite so like you just put it directly on your cheeks, but a little bit on your nose. It makes all the difference in the world. Kind of makes you look like you've just been out in the sun a little bit. Because when you think about it, when you get sun on your face, you're not just getting sun on your cheeks, you get it on your nose as well. More oftentimes than not, your nose will actually have like way more color than all the rest of you. Alright, now for a highlighter, I'm using my Smashbox Spotlight palette in Pearl. Ugh. FYI, I can't open anything with my nails, so I basically just struggle all day long. So I'm going to take this middle pinkier one, and I might mix it a little bit with this one. And I'm just going to dust these both over my cheeks, cheekbones, and my nose. And because my eyebrows have not been done in a solid hot minute, what's new? I'm going to be using my convertible brow, and I choose the darkest shade always. And I will fill in the middle first with the darkest amount of pigment. Or like the most medium amount of pigment actually. I will actually use the darkest amount of pigment on the very tail end of my brow. And I'll drag it down a little bit farther than you would normally, just because, I mean, it's a gorgeous shade and everything, but I figured my eyebrows look way better when they're longer, and when you arch it, it adds like a little bit more arch when you drag it down just a little bit all the way to those little tiny hairs on the outskirts. And for the beginning of my eyebrow, depending on how sparse they look, sometimes I'll put powder there, sometimes I won't. I pretty much just focus all the powder in the middle of my brows, and I might brush a little through the front, but I like that part to look a little feathery. Otherwise, if I put powder all the way in all parts of my eyebrows, they start to look really, really like dark and like tattooed on my face, and that just doesn't look natural. And because my eyebrows are so crazy, I'm using my brow gel by the Brow Gal. This is in the Instant Light Hair 03. It's like a taupey brown color, and it has fibers in it, so it holds your brows in place. It's like a brow gel, but it also has fibers in it to kind of thicken up your eyebrows. And so I'll just put that on the mid shaft of my eyebrow. I'm talking like hair terms here. The middle of my eyebrow. And sometimes if I go a little heavy-handed with my eyebrows, which is most of the time because I really like dark eyebrows, sometimes they're even a little bit too dark for me. And this kind of helps bring it back down because it is a lighter tint than what I've darkened my eyebrows with. So I'm going to pick up this palette one more time, and I'm going to run Hush Hush. Big surprise. I like that color. Along the bottom of my lash line, and connecting it with this sharper line that we kind of carved out. What I'm actually going to end up doing is I'm going to pick up a brush, and I'm going to pick up Rockstar, which is that really pretty berry purple shade right here. It's actually looking kind of red in the pan. Like, I don't know if you can even tell. It's really purple in real life. In real life. This is real life. This is real life. And what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to run this all up underneath the lash line. Because you know your girl likes a smoky eye. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick that dense brush up one more time now that it's fatter. And I'm going to go in with Sparks, which is that maroon shade that we've been using this whole time. And I'm just going to pack this on the outer third of my eye, connecting in the corner and adding again to that really pretty burgundy shade that we had before. Kind of stamped in that corner. I want it to be purple, but I do really enjoy that red. And I'm actually going to kind of line the top a little bit with it too. One thing that I have noticed, and maybe it's just because I've been messing with my eye so much, the translucent powder might have gotten on my eye a little bit, but the red almost looks like it faded a little bit, and it kind of faded to a more purpley tone. So when it goes on, it's not quite as burgundy as it is a little bit later, if that makes any sense. Like, it looked like it kind of faded from that, and because I just stamped it on, like, you can see it up against this purple. And I remember putting, it's hair color too, sorry. I can remember putting like this shade up here, and it does not look, it looks very different. Granted, I did mix it with a purple, but it still looked a lot more like red burgundy earlier. So I'm kind of curious to see if this will fade out to a little bit more purpley as well. So yeah, that's it for these shades. I'm gonna dab Bling Bling on the inside of my eye to kind of brighten it up a little bit. Just kidding, I'm going in with the Spotlight palette because I want like a much lighter tone. Like, I want to be able to see the highlight. So I'm going in with that little middle. I think these all have names. Crank It Up Pearl is what I'm using from that Spotlight palette. Literally 12 lipsticks later, I have 4 sets of 3 that I kept trying and trying and trying, and I finally settled on this one because I was trying to do something like different and they all look terrible, so I just settled on this one. This one's not my huge favorite, but I think the reason why it's not my absolute favorite is because I still have all of these staining from my other lipstick that was like super dark. So this is about as good as it's gonna get with the lipstick. So I mixed my Essence Cool Nude with a little bit of Beach Babe in the middle, and then I put Fairy Floss by ColourPop on top. And yeah, that's the finished look. Final thoughts on this palette. This palette is so good. It is 100% worth the $15 price tag. I would probably pay even more for this, honestly. The fact that it's just $15 is like such a steal. These are the shades that you get in the Bling Boss palette. I know they're upside down, so you can't really read the name, so I'll do this. But these are the shades that you get. I know my lighting's a little funky, but like even in person, the colors just stand out so much more. I haven't noticed this red fading into the purple like it did before, but it still looks really pretty with what I've got on. I really enjoyed putting like the burgundy in that palette just because it adds a little bit of something new, like something different, and something almost a little like comforting to me, because I deal so much with like warmer tones and like warmer reds and stuff like that. That's typically what I go for. So I really enjoy this palette. I hope you like this little tutorial. It's probably super long because most of my videos are super long. But yeah, I think next, I don't know which one I'm gonna do next, honestly. They're all so pretty. Like the Armed and Gorgeous one, first of all, I just love the name, and I love how they all have like themes to them. Like this one is gorgeous. That is 100% a fall palette, and I love like the yellow oranges, and that little green in there is so pretty. And this color, I mean, this is just an oldie but a goodie kind of thing. Like, this is one of those like warm base palettes that just everyone needs in their collection because those colors are stunning, and I'm just really excited to use all of these. And this one, these dark colors are calling to me in a very good way. These remind me so much of Subculture as far as like the colors, just because they're like that really like deep, what, I don't know. When I think of this palette, I think of like New Year's Eve, because you know you do like the smoky, like really like deep tones, or I think of like a date night, like a smoky date night. Like, that's what I think of when I think of this palette, and I think that's why I wanted this one and the Bling Boss palette so much out of the whole collection. But I still loved 3 out of the 4, and when you buy the vault, you're actually getting basically one for free. I think you basically pay like $1 or $2 more for the vault. Excuse me, not $1 or $2 more, but like $1 or $2 more than you would for buying 3. And I knew I wanted 3, so I was like, I might as well just get the vault, save myself some money, and get all of them, because I know that I will use that warm tone palette, or I'll give it to a friend. This is my little tutorial with this. I'm obsessed with these colors. You can tell that I didn't blend this out very well. And I don't know where my blending brush is, so that's cool. But this palette is stunning, and I am so looking forward to filming with all 4 of these palettes. Anyway, so I will see y'all next time. If you haven't subscribed already, it would mean the world to me if you subscribed. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and I'll see y'all next time.